They know, this is talking about people who are in this state of trust, that for those who trust in the divine, all things advance toward a happy state to eternity, and that whatever befalls them in time is still conducive thereto. Be it known that the divine providence is universal, that is, in the things most minute, and that they who are in the stream of providence are all the time carried along toward everything that is happy, whatever may be the appearance of the means, and that those are in the stream of providence who put their trust in the divine and attribute all things to him. Trust changes your life. It changes your life. It makes it, not only does it relieve your anxiety, it makes it actually so God can more easily direct your life and put you on the path toward happiness. What is anxiety? What is fear? What is depression? What is obsessive compulsive? What is anything? What's all negativity is any fear-based negativity is, I don't trust that this is going to be okay. I don't trust that this is going to be okay. So to me, it's like, makes total sense. Makes all the sense in the world. Hell is trying to get it so you don't trust that it's going to be okay. Or if you're going to say that religiously, which I like to do because I feel like, to me, that has the potency. You don't trust that God has got this. No, man, he's got a plan. This is all happening. This didn't just happen for no reason. This is all happening according to plan. You're going to be fine. There's a happy state forever that I'm trying to bring you into, and this is actually going to make it work. This is just trust me, and then I can lift this unhappiness off you. And so hell is pulling hard in the other direction because there's a misery that they want you to be in. Like elsewhere in Secrets of Heaven, without such faith or trust in the Lord, no one can ever attain that peace, nor accordingly the bliss which joy brings, since that bliss resides within such peace. Full happiness, and you don't always realize this, especially until you hit some hard patch. You can be going along just fine, but you really can't have full happiness until you have the trust that everything's going to be okay, that everything's going to work out, that there's a plan, that you're not alone. God is taking care of you in all kinds of ways. That's it. So what would be more effective than destroying that concept in you? And that seems to be exactly what mental illness in all its forms is trying to do. So suddenly, makes total sense. Hey, you've been watching this video for a long time. Thank you. Appreciate it. What I want to do now is give you a couple more, I think, what are key pieces of the big picture and why Swedenborg's framework, again, gives the rest of the missing explanation of why the mind is like it is. There's this desire to know the future, or in anxiety, there's this concern about the future where you have Jesus and like every other tradition saying, like, don't worry, be in the present. Jesus saying, don't worry about your life. I'm taking care of the sparrows, I'm taking care of the lilies, so you don't worry about it. But whereas hell, or if you want to say mental illness, they do the same thing. I think they're just manifestations of each other on different levels of there's physical and spiritual. The two are interacting all the time. It makes you anxious about the future. Sometimes about the past, but future. I was told by a professional, like, the central lie of obsessive compulsive disorder is that you need to be certain about what's going to happen and that that's possible. And if you can just get certainty, then you'll be okay. That's actually, well, you might think, well, yeah, how could you be the happiest? Is if you knew what's going to happen in the future, and then you wouldn't be worried about. But actually, that is the opposite of the state that we're supposed to get into to be happy. Swedenborg wrote, "Worry about the future, reinforced by one's actions, seriously blunts and slows the inflow of spiritual life. They attribute what is actually the work of divine providence to themselves, and people who do this block the inflow, keeping a life of goodness and truth at arm's length." So you can try to get certainty. You can try to, health anxiety is such a good example of this. You can never know what's going to happen with your health. Never. You can never know, like, okay, I'm not trying to freak you out, but anybody, anytime can suddenly, something goes wrong and they get this terrible medical news. You can never be sure that you're not. I mean, it just is what it is. But even like, if you get one piece of bad news, oh, this happened, you don't know what that's gonna mean for the next step. You don't know what that's gonna mean for the next, you're never gonna know. You're never gonna know. The reality is you'll never know. I just saw there was some ad for some streaming show that was like the story of this woman who had cancer, and the doctor said you have like a month and a half or 3 months or something to live. But it didn't happen. Actually, she lived a long time after that. So you just never know. You just never know. That's just how life is, especially with health stuff. You never know. You never know what's going to lead to what. You never know. You never know. The state we're supposed to get into is not where we know or where we can be sure we've prevented anything terrible from happening. It's where you trust that things are going to work out in the end. Like the only thing you can know is like it's going to be okay sometime. That God is in charge. Like you can try to get certain about how things are going to go, but it's impossible and it's not happiness, which is hard for me to believe. I mean, with most things, not this one. Like this one hit me where I need to know there's certainty. Other things I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just let it work out. How this, but with this and like the mortality and like the grief thing and like, they got me. They know how to get me there. One last thing I want to say about the difference between how heaven affects your mind and how hell affects your mind. This is what I think it is, based on reading Swedenborg extensively and then having my own mind for a long time, but then also these other modalities and things. Heaven is useful. Hell is useless. You want to know if something's from hell? It's useless. Again, in Brain Lock, the book, part of the 4 steps process is identifying that these obsessions, which are these fears about what's going to happen, they're not what they say they are, meaning they're not actually, and they don't help you. They don't make it any better. Obsessing about it, Googling things, trying to get that certainty, doing the compulsions that some people struggle with, like whatever it is, it doesn't help you. Worrying about that doesn't help you. And even as I looked, like just physiologically, when you're super worried about stuff, it doesn't help your immune system. It doesn't help outcomes. Like it does nothing. It does nothing. There's a limited amount of like, okay, you can be vigilant enough that you should go to the doctor sometimes. Don't avoid that. But all this other stuff actually makes it worse, can lead to worse outcomes. So it's useless. And in cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the thinking errors that they'll have when a thought comes in that you can label your thoughts with, like you'll kind of rack up, okay, which thinking errors does this have? One of them is just unhelpful thoughts. This thought is unhelpful. Like it's not trying to do anything good. And you think about it like constructive versus destructive criticism. There's a kind of criticism that is aimed at improving. And there's a kind of criticism which is just trash talking. The function of it is to get you, to weaken you, and to get you vulnerable and to hurt you. You can just tell if you start to look at it when a thought or urge or something comes into your mind. What's this trying to do? What's the impact of this? And if it's useless, that's from hell. If it's useful, it might be from heaven. It's not like you can know for sure, but that is, again, something Swedenborg hundreds of years ago said was a key component of heaven is usefulness itself. Everything that comes out of heaven is meant to be useful. Actually, God, that's like how God's love manifests, is you're doing something that is useful. So hell, like it doesn't, the reason we call them mental illnesses is they don't do anything useful. They make it worse. Worrying a ton about something, even if there's something real going on in your life, doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. It's just trying to cause you pain, debilitate you, to lead you away from the life of heaven, which includes trust and being useful. So this stuff is very real and present to me because I've been using it. And I would say, again, don't think because, let's say it really is true and there really is a spiritual cause behind the things we experience in our mind. I'm not saying that supersedes any of the medical and any of the treatments that are out there. I have had to lean on that stuff so much. And in the beginning of this bout of anxiety, that I've been having, I couldn't even really get anything out of the spiritual stuff. Even the Swedenborg, it was too removed. I was too locked in. You have to treat it holistically. In the beginning, it was like the different kinds of therapy. I needed to reach out to people and tell people what I was feeling and what I was afraid of, and exercise. And I got on medication. I had been on it before, but I got off a while ago, and it's like, yeah, that didn't work. So I got back. You got to do that. You got to do that, because it's not in conflict with the spiritual model that Swedenborg lays out. He's not saying that what we learn about the physical world isn't true, and what we learn about human nature isn't true. He's just saying, okay, here's the bigger explanation for why we deal with what we deal with. So I'm saying you can't just spiritualize. Look at me. I'm supposed to be the host of this YouTube channel about spiritual stuff, and I know all this spiritual stuff. Shouldn't I just be able to spiritual, or I believe in God, my way out of it? It's not always there for you, because when what I would say is hell, or when your mind is really hitting you hard, it's too hard to hold on to some of these loftier concepts. You need stuff that's really battle tested and proven, and that I think is these divine truths, but down on this immediate level with these different modalities and therapies and medicines and everything like that. But then I found just in my own progression here, initially, Swedenborg wasn't going to help me with this religion stuff. It was too much. It was too much. But I slowly, as I started to get better, I'm not all the way better, but I'm way better than I was. As I started to get better, then I did find the spiritual started to become really helpful, and ultimately, has become a huge and sort of the capstone of helping with it. So I think it's a missing piece. And what I would really wish someday that we get is a really good model of mental health, where there's all the physical stuff that we know and all this good stuff, and there's this bigger, I know that things can get so dicey when you try to bring the idea of something spiritual into the stuff of the mind and mental health and all that. But if we could come up with a really good model that reinforces and honors what you know about the physical mind, that's why I'm excited about Swedenborg. I think it's there. I think it's there. And for me, I think throughout my life and my own struggles with all my mental health stuff, I'm mentally ill. I mean, I guess technically I've been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I mean, that's why I got so interested in spiritual stuff, is I needed it to help me with this. Throughout my journey, the idea that there's heaven and hell in the mind, and you go toward heaven, and you don't have to listen to hell, and you don't have to own what hell tells you. That's been the life-saving idea, and I think there's a place for it in the way that we approach. I see it reflected in the way we approach mental health. So that's sounds like I have a sort of message wrapped up, but I'm still trying to figure it all out, and trying to navigate my own stuff, which is it's a lot of work and it's intense. And I know that you are going through your own stuff. Just so many people are going through their stuff. So what I would hope is something in here was useful for you. Parting, one other thing is I just remember this, the doing of useful things is a great tool to help you feel better. Even now, when I'm getting my anxiety, that's unsolvable, you're going to get sick and die, How do you ever stop? When I'm all right, how can I do something that helps someone? How can I help my wife right now? How can I help my coworkers? How can I help that brings comfort. That brings comfort. And Swedenborg would say that's because it brings heaven close to you. Because in the doing of useful things, you're bringing angels actually into you, and God is coming through you. But going back to the Brain Lock book, what they say is the fourth step, the third step is you've said, this is just an obsession. It's just my OCD. I don't need to believe it. It's just part of this medical condition that's not really part of who I am. And then you go and you don't listen to the fear. You don't do what it tells you. You go, and the author says, do something useful. Do something helpful and gratifying. Yeah, usefulness. In cognitive behavioral therapy, they'll say, all right, go from, start to live by your values. Figure out what your values are and go live by them. Do something useful. Don't listen to the fear. That's a huge one. And then get in community. Know that there are people out there to help you. There are people out there to help you. Try to know that in whatever way you can. Reach out to them, because that's heaven. Heaven is interconnected. Hell is isolation. Sorry, I know I was like almost wrapping up, but then I was like, oh, this might be useful. Hopefully those things are useful to you. How do you use religion or spirituality or whatever you want to call it to augment your own journey and struggles?